2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Test, test, test.
Recording in progress.
Yeah, what is that, right?
Yeah. It's probably good though. I just learned that until recently, the host of a Zoom meeting could access the private chats of participants. Which is obviously where you just fucking dump on everyone else at the meeting.
Those should be sacred places.
It's amazing the world hasn't just collapsed
Yeah.
in light of that. Because, yeah, I mean, just the number of secrets that must have gotten out, you know.
There's a good argument that the world has collapsed. Let's be real.
Well, there is that. Yeah, there is.
There is. Okay. Do I not get to see your face?
I can. I'm sitting in darkness, if I'm honest.
I know. So am I. It's fine.
No, literal darkness. Here you go. You'll see. Zoom would like to access your camera.
Ah, there you are. I can see you just
look.
fine. Yeah, you're in the pillow fort.
Yeah.
I love it.
Exactly.
Have you? Yeah, I've got mine behind me. It's just slightly bigger, but
bigger, a bit more professional, you know. But yeah, we all do what we can, though. So,
I mean, I just didn't want to have underwear hanging above my head when I did my job, I suppose. But you seem fine with it.
I actually have constructed something for hanging underwear above my head when I teach, you know, in meetings, presentations. It's a comfort thing. How you doing, man?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, I'm not too bad. I just had a whapping load of Pfizer into my left arm.
Good deal.
So if I start to melt in front of you, we know what to do.
How is the arm feeling?
Hold on, let me just lost all feeling. Yeah. No, to be honest, it felt heavy for about half an hour and nothing. But that'd be the 5G chip. Have you seen the videos of people holding up magnets? And it's like, look, it's staying. We're fucked. With the chip, we're fucked. You not seen that?
Yeah. Is it sticking because of the plaster glue?
You know what? I don't know what the what her trick is for how she's doing it, because it is staying there. You have to imagine it's because she's telling the truth, right? Here we go.
Who's her? Is this like a particularly viral video?
This is a viral video. I think it's this one.
This is the arm. I got the Pfizer shot in. And there it is. Come closer. Stick into my arm. That's where I got the shot. And here's the magnet on the arm. I didn't get the shot. You go figure it out. We're chipped. We're all fucked.
We're chipped. We're all fucked. Having interrogated the video now, she does spend an awful long time getting it to place on the vaccinated arm and barely any time at all trying to get it to stay on the non-vax. There seems to be some kind of bias.
Does she just have a tacky arm? Is that the like she just hasn't washed?
I like to think that she has such confirmation bias that she's actually herself put a magnet under the skin just to then spread this information.
I thought you were going to say that it's psychosomatic, that somehow her body has moved minerals to the spot. Because the thought of confronting her beliefs being false is just so devastating.
Right.
She wouldn't survive it.
It's like white blood cells, but the reverse,
iron.
I suppose. but iron, but heavy metal. Is it heavy metal? I don't think that matters. How are you, dude? How are you?
I'm doing all right, yeah.
You've had yours, haven't you?
Yeah, I had mine in February, I think.
Show off. So you're double.
Yeah.
You're done.
Triple.
No,
I'm just
been lying to you.
I was like, they were like, look, we got a bunch of it lying around. You want some more? I said, I can hack it.
Up.
Can you?
Have you
Jam
seen
me up? Yeah.
I don't know why I'm talking about videos. Have you seen the video? This woman, she gets her COVID jab and she's all like, yay. And the nurse pulls it out, but like somehow manages to drop the needle. So it then like falls in her arm in a lower place. So it's like, ba-boing. Just feel so sorry for this poor woman. But it is funny.
Does she start going, ow, 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 ow? Do you remember this one?
No, is this one?
The woman.
Go on.
The woman who fell off the stage. It must have been 20 years ago. It was awful.
Not the grape fail.
Yeah.
You say awful.
Oh God.
Do you mean fantastic? I can't breathe.
It's yeah. Oh God.
Come on, let's do it.
It's fucking dreadful. Is she still alive? Did she survive?
Yeah, she's fine. The best. My actual favorite thing about this is the news anchors later when they're like, "Oh gosh, she took a hard.
I hope she's okay." Yeah. Well, at least she has some grapes.
Right here, just like
Now,
I don't even want to watch it.
No, but we don't have to watch the bit, although we're going to. But
no, we have.
It's what are they talking about? Do you know what I mean? They're like, at one point she's like eating international foods.
So what's the deal here? There's a contest to stomp, and how are you measuring who does the best stomping?
Whoever stomps the most shoots wins an overnight stay, but it's not the only thing you can do.
The measuring cups are down below.
The measuring cups are down
It's
below.
All right.
painfully boring, isn't it?
If you win, you get to stand chateau.
It's like a weird cross of news report and infomercial, isn't it?
Come and spend the day listening to live music, eating international foods, having wine tours and tastings, vineyard tours.
But wait, there's more.
Here we go.
It's a lot of fun, a whole day.
Oh God. Oh.
I think she's actually hurt.
No, I think she is.
Yeah, she's hurt. She took a hard fall off there. Okay.
Okay,
Mm.
We're gonna move on because we don't care.
Happy as soon as we can.
we'll be back right after this.
Gee, why is it funny though? It's horrible.
That's a very good question. There are various theories, aren't there, on what makes something funny, and what one does that come under? So one theory it's like quite discredited is the superiority theory. But in this case, it's quite plausible, which is
So
something
that's
like
I would never do that. I'm type thing.
yeah, or just literally that you are condescending to the person in laughing at them.
Right, so making yourself feel better and then
Yeah,
taking them down. So I see.
exactly. So
Why is that
why
discredited?
is stupid?
So,
Why is it discredited? Well, I mean, like all of the theories, it doesn't really cover all the cases. I'm not sure I can come up with the counter examples right now, but I mean, there are cases, for instance, of just absurdities where describing it as a case of kind of psychological superiority would be a bit of a stretch. And then at that point, you start to wonder if the theory gets vacuous.
I suppose probably that you can't have a grand unifying theory, because the reality is, although the end product is laughter, the pathways towards, like, you're expressing that you find something funny must be so multivarious. Like, yeah, you laugh, but even laughs, there are different laughs that sound, and like the type of like gut laugh or the type of like crying laugh is very different from the like, which is also a laugh, but like I got a different one out of you because of it. And
what about this one? I mean, why? In what circumstances do that? Do we do that one?
It's what are the other theories then? Is it like something to do with like chimps, like social animal theory?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that one. The other two are incongruity. That's
glitch in the matrix.
And that one covers a lot of cases. I mean, especially when you're making kids laugh. You know, you just put a sock on your head or whatever. That's all it takes. Or you violate very mild social taboos by just going poo. Gets them going. And then the other one is one I think that's rooted in Freudian psychoanalytic theory that has to do with a kind of emotional release, basically. So I think you're probably right that there's a plurality of things that make us laugh, but that's consistent with there being a grand unifying theory, right? In the same way that, to take a silly example, when I'm cooking my beans, that's very different from when I'm sending a rocket into space, but it's all in principle explicable by the same unified theory of physics. Or take a different response, like a disgust response, right? So it might be that we find very different kinds of things disgusting. Some of them might have to do with disease. Some of them might have to do with, for instance, moral failure. But there might be presumably there is some single unified mechanism, at least in our psychological economy, that explains it. Yeah, self-protective, something like that. Yeah, but there's certainly no winning theory at this point. Yeah.
What's your personal fave?
My personal favorite. Testicle theory. Just anything that invokes balls. Yeah, it doesn't cover all the cases. Okay.
My God, does it cover a lot?
There's a lot of them. And we have roundabout ways of explaining the counter examples. So.
But you know what? This actually brings me on to something that I wanted to talk to you about, and also congratulate you for being under contract with OUP for a book. Which, I've just found out from researching a good friend on the internet instead of being told. No, congratulations. And it's called Beyond Moralism. And
that's right.
I guess you're going to aim to publish in 22-23. Is that right?
Yes, that's the idea. Yeah. So I'm starting a post.
No, Karen.
I was just going to say I'm starting a postdoc in Hamburg in January, and then I'll be relieved of teaching duties, and then I will turn my attention to this full time. And at the moment, I've got a bunch of work that's commissioned that's directly relevant to the book. So even though I'm not currently working on it, I'm doing so in a kind of roundabout way.
Because you're going to be able to repurpose the material into...
Yeah, and not just repurpose the material, but also a lot of the research I'm having to do for these, if you like, side projects is the same. It's the same reading and analysis I'd have to do for the book. So yeah.
And what's the book about?
Advancing the testicular theory of humor. Someone needs to write it.
If I do not read the
It's
word
about
testicular theory in this book when it's published, you are in big trouble, my friend. Yeah, go on.
And it's funny because the publisher yesterday said to me, if I read the words testicular theory in this book, you're going to be in big trouble, my friend. So the dilemma, it's the real dilemma.
Yeah.
Yeah, the book, it's, you know, how to make this not boring. So here's something that people have wondered. Here's something people have wondered. Can great art be immoral? And then we can refine that question a little bit. So think, for instance, of Griffith's Birth of a Nation, very pioneering work of cinema.
Is that
but
the
also
Ku Klux Klan one
that's the Ku Klux Klan one, yeah.
that they showed at the White House?
They did show at the White House under Woodrow Wilson, I believe.
Good
That
old.
great liberal champion. Yeah, we're shitting on Woodrow. Okay. And then we can refine that question a bit and ask, well, suppose great art can be immoral. Maybe it can be great in spite of being immoral. Does the fact that it's immoral count against its aesthetic or artistic value at all? You know, that is to say, we can add up the things that make it good aesthetically, like it's elegant, it's not garish. We can point to some stuff that kind of detracts from the aesthetic value of the work. Maybe it's sentimental or it's predictable.
Or there's a boom
And
mic
then-
in the shop.
There's a boom mic in the shop. Yeah, in the shot, yeah. Exactly. And then we can ask, well, is the fact that it's immoral, or indeed the fact that it's morally good, is that added to this list? Should we consider that as counting for or against the work aesthetically? And that's basically what the book's about. And then I basically take a huge dump on a bunch of the existing accounts and show that the way the question has been approached is insufficiently sophisticated. And then the idea is to advance my own theory, although that stuff is the least worked out at this point. But anyway, that's what the book's about.
Okay, that's really interesting. I guess my gut impulse, I wonder if you think differently, is that it largely, the value of a work largely should be divorced from its morality, quote unquote, being moral or immoral, partially because those things are cultural standards that change, you know, sometimes every 5-10 years. Certainly within the space of 100 years, the morals and ethics of a society are going to be vastly different. And then if you transpose it to, let's say, another country, another continent, those differences are going to be exacerbated. So to tie its intrinsic value to a moral standard seems to me like a small part of the puzzle. But that being said, I think it probably is outweighed by people's actual reaction to it. Like, so for example, at my wedding, our DJ just had one stipulation. He was like, I will not play Michael Jackson, no songs by Michael Jackson.
And then proceeded to screen W.B. Griffith's The Birth of a Nation.
Yeah, that was my request.
Yeah. Pederasty, no. Old school racism, yes.
Exactly. So, and you know, it's not like other people he played that evening, he'd done any kind of moral inventory on their escapades and like, do you know what I mean? And it was only also pretty much because it was in the zeitgeist, because that documentary had just come out, whatever it was called, Surviving Neverland, I believe. That's so right. That seems like it really made a big impact to him. And I would argue that it does to a lot of people more than it should. What do you think?
Yeah, so there's a lot there. Certainly that claim is true. And for that reason, I think we can't rely on the actual responses of audiences, we can't lean on it to a very great extent because artworks can be misconstrued. I mean, in the case of Michael Jackson, the objection is less to the work than it is to the author.
True.
And maybe there's a sense in which the work has been contaminated by the author. Although with Michael Jackson, in the case of all but maybe a very few of his songs, it's a bit of a stretch because the songs just have nothing to do with the kind of crimes he committed. I'm blanking right now, but there is a song where you read the lyrics and it's it's appalling. What song am I thinking of?
I know. Yeah. It's like it's not
Beat It.
Oh
no, I'm bad, right?
I'm bad.
Yeah, it's like in that song, he's just gone up to the microphone and he's saying, "Look, I'm just going to be totally explicit right now, so there's no ambiguity. I'm bad. I'm really, really bad."
It is
And then
astonishing how often people just have to admit their crimes.
Yeah.
like they have to unburden them. And there was something that happened really recently that was exactly the same. It's like they've been telling us all along that this is their thing, but we just thought it was an analogy or they were being cool or edgy or something. It's like, no, that's just who they are. It must be bizarre for that person to be like Louis C.K. or something, right? It's like, I enjoy jerking off in front of people, and everyone goes, ha, 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 and he goes,
"Nice one, Louis."
I mean it, like I do. And he goes, ha, 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 yeah, and he's just getting like validated for it. Okay, Bad by Michael Jackson. Your butt is mine. Gonna tell you right.
There you go.
Just show your face in broad daylight.
Right out the gate. Your butt is mine. Yeah. He's bad. He's really, really bad. I'd go as far as to say he's really, really bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if the rest resonates, but I just remember that opening lyric being, oh.
Yeah. It's particularly, Anyway, so that's a sidebar. You're right. So back to
moral standards change. In one sense, that is the standards that people accept change. In the background here is a tentative commitment to the idea that the moral standards themselves don't change. That is, despite what a whole society might believe, the idea just being like a whole society or indeed a whole world could be wrong about what's morally required. And so the moral standards don't change in that regard, even if people's beliefs about the moral standards do change.
Because there's an objective sort of list somewhere in the universe that is like this.
And that might, and one can get quite sophisticated about that. So it might be an objective list that's rooted in, if you're Immanuel Kant, for instance, it'd be rooted in our rational nature. It might be something that's, speaking of grand unifying theories, that's distilled to a single entity in the universe, like pleasure, like the utilitarians believed. So it could be various things, but certainly the moral beliefs of different societies and across different continents change. And you're absolutely right that you wouldn't want to be assessing artworks based on the moral beliefs of some capriciously chosen society, because then it would be chaos. Although we should mention that someone who has this kind of worry that you've expressed, they also have to accept the fact that aesthetic values, in the sense of the things that people take to be valuable, those change too. So if that was a reason not to think, or if that was a reason to think that morality had nothing to do with the aesthetic value of the object, then I've got bad news for you, buddy, because all the aesthetic values are going to be like that, right? The stuff that people enjoyed in the 16th century, it's not going to be the same as the stuff now.
No, there are some
largely speaking
exceptions, aren't there? I mean,
the test of time stuff,
16th century is a perfect example because that's Shakespeare.
That's right, yeah.
But then if we try and think like as far back as possible, actually, why not? The very earliest instances of art that we have, cave paintings. Pretty much, right? They're still pretty highly valued, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. But to that extent, you could say the same about morality, with maybe some exceptions. kindness has always been valued.
Mm.
Sharing has always been valued. Love has always been valued. And it's only when you get into the finer details, like, is this wine the literal blood of Christ? Or is it metaphorical? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then you get the disagreements. So yeah, you're absolutely right. There's some of the aesthetic values, and this is part of the reason to think that there is some objective standard, even of aesthetic value. Some of those seem to transcend cultures, places, and periods. But to the extent that that's true of aesthetic value, that's also true of moral value, I'd say.
I think that they don't only go past those boundaries. I think they pass species boundaries. I think animals have and you know, you see it in, you've got children, so you've seen it much more firsthand than I have. I've seen it. They develop a sense of justice very early on that is very very deep rooted, right?
Yeah. It's a kind of egoistic justice. Maybe it's just, maybe I'm just reporting on the psychological abnormality of my kids. They're very upset about inequalities when they get the short end of the straw, whatever the fucking metaphor is. Yeah.
Well, look, there are some like standards of morality that have to be taught, but there are some that do appear to arise unbidden. Like what are, I guess, the more sort of, like you said, nuanced social thing of like, why is this bad? Well, because of, you know, a long sort of complicated list of outcomes, as opposed to because it's not fair, which is much quicker to get to. Have you seen the monkey with the grape experiment?
No, I think I've seen variants on it, but tell me about it.
Oh, it's so good. So the experiment is, it's Frans de Waal, who's like one of my favorite thinkers on this stuff, because I'm kind of really interested in this. And it's an experiment where you have a task, and there are two monkeys side by side, and they're monkeys in the same group, so they know each other, which is that's important, right? And the task is, you get a rock and you give it to the researcher, and the researcher gives you a treat. Simple task,
right?
And they're happy to do it. I'll show you the video.
So the final experiment that I want to mention to you is our fairness study. And so this became a very famous study, and there's now many more, because after we did this about 10 years ago, it became very well known. And we did that originally with capuchin monkeys, and I'm going to show you the first experiment that we did. It has now been done with dogs and with birds and with chimpanzees. But with Sarah Brosnan, we started out with capuchin monkeys. So what we did is we put two capuchin monkeys side by side. Again, these animals, they live in a group. They know each other. We take them out of in a test chamber. And there's a very simple task that they need to do. And if you give both of them cucumber for the task, the two monkeys side by side, they're perfectly willing to do this 25 times in a row. So cucumber, even though it's really only water, in my opinion,
Zing.
Cucumber is if you give the partner grapes,
his whole career has been building up to just shitting on the cucumber. That's all he actually cares about.
If you give them grapes as a far better food, then you create inequity between them. So that's the experiment we did. Recently, we videotaped it with new monkeys who had never done the task, thinking that maybe they would have a stronger reaction, and that turned out to be right. The one on the left is the monkey who gets cucumber. The one on the right is the one who gets grapes. The one who gets cucumber, note that the first piece of cucumber is perfectly fine. The first piece she eats. Then she sees the other one getting grape, and you will see what happens. So she gives a rock to us, that's the task. And we give her a piece of cucumber and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us. And that's what she does. And she gets a grape. And she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber.
So for people who are only listening, this monkey picks up a bit of cucumber, has a kind of a sniff, does maybe a nibble, but basically then reaches through and chucks it directly at the researcher, and then starts shaking the bars in fury.
Yeah.
There's still a good bit. Hold on.
She tests the rod now against the wall. She needs to give it to us. And she gets cucumber again. So this is basically the Wall Street protest that you see here.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, except for the Wall Street protest.
Well,
Comment at the end. Yeah,
it dates it as well, apart from anything else. But the sheer livid outrage of the monkey, who's not dealt with fairly, again made us laugh also. So that's kind of tying it back. Why is that so funny? Maybe it's because it seems almost human, that behavior, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a couple of incongruities there for sure, right? One is the behavior is so recognizable. For me, that behavior is so recognizable from my children in particular.
Yeah.
They will absolutely, they won't just cut off their nose to spite their face. I mean, they will just cut off limbs. You know, they would rather have nothing than receive the inferior thing. Which is, you know, from a certain perspective, so irrational, but also so relatable.
Yeah. But
yeah, there's that. And then just the extent to which the monkey goes absolutely ape. No pun intended.
Exactly. And I also love how chill the one getting grapes is. You know? There's no thought of like, maybe I'll break a bit off for my buddy here. It's like, now I eat grapes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah.
Why were we talking about the monkeys? I can't remember.
Because we were talking about how sort of morality can span culture, time.
Oh, yeah.
And I was saying even species. I think there's something very default about it. Maybe it doesn't go to all species, but like social animals.
Yes.
Or maybe social mammals, maybe ants. Although I've heard things. I've heard things. I'm on the dark web.
Been a couple of ant whistleblowers living, you know, blowing the whistle.
To be fair, I think it was bees this time, but there are similar things with ants, that bees can get drunk, and if they return to the hive drunk, the bouncer bees keep them out until they're sober and then allowed back in.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I'll be fine, mate.
Hold on.
No, I'll be fine.
You've had three too many. Come on.
No.
Once more round the block. On you go.
Don't make me do it.
Buzz off.
Hey. Yeah. So there's this stuff that's taught. There's this stuff that seems to be innate, and then there's the middle case where we just have dispositions that are very easy to cultivate. It's pretty fascinating, especially with child psychology.
Yeah.
Manic stuff.
Yeah. Starts to come.
So speaking of immoral art, have you seen this? Have you heard about this? You seen this? I don't know if you saw that Oriel College recently decided not to remove the statue of Cecil Rhodes.
I did, yes. That's right.
Yeah. So I started a GoFundMe campaign because the justification ostensibly was that they thought it was going to be too expensive and too protracted because of the legal difficulties of taking the statue down. The thought being it's a listed building. Yeah, no, it's an incredible obfuscation of their own.
It's just so
cowardice.
It's just
I know.
But yeah, so how can people get to this GoFundMe?
That's a good question.
I
don't know. Yeah,
still going. You've sent it to me, so I'll share the link. I'll put it in the description.
Awesome. Do that.
I love the fact that you've got £1 million that you're shooting for.
I thought, look, if they get £1 million, there's no way they can turn around and go, I don't think it's going to be enough.
It's just not feasible
Yeah. Yeah. But so I decided to launch this thing kind of as a way of trolling the the college. You know, when you have a mate who really just doesn't want to come out.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they say, oh, I'm a bit short on cash, so you guys enjoy the pub. I'll see you next week. And then you go, no, I'll foot the bill.
And they
And
go,
you just pulled that.
yeah, I can't find my other shoe actually. So that's great.
Don't worry, John. I've got some spare shoes. But you're size 9, right? Yeah.
You do. Ring, ring. Hello? Oh, yeah. John, you're on the phone to me.
Also, you just said ring, ring. I don't recall a telephone sounding like that.
Oh, no.
That's
terrible. Sorry, mate. Work. You know how it is. Yeah. So you created it to troll them. I mean, it's pretty brilliant.
Yeah. So that, you know, they really wouldn't have a leg to stand on, except the legal wranglings thing. But my thought is that either the campaign takes off, fairly unlikely, but could happen. And then, I mean, I just personally deliver the cash to them and embarrass them. Alternatively, if it doesn't quite take off, but we raise some money, and at the moment we're at just under £300, I think, then my thought is that it turns out you can apply for planning permission for someone else's property. So
wait. Put a pin in the story. We'll come back to it. What did you just say?
You can apply for planning permission on someone else's property.
And you can
get the permission
granted it?
Yeah, because the permission attaches to the property, not to the owner. So it doesn't bestow a right upon the owner. It bestows a kind of common right on the property. The owner has to be notified. And in order for you to enact anything according to what you've said you will do in the planning permission, they obviously have say over that.
Yeah.
But the licensing of the change itself is something that anyone can in principle apply for.
It's so funny. Imagine someone turning up to your front door with like sketches and schema and blueprints. It's like, I've signed it all off. Don't worry. We're going to build this crazy, weird slide that comes out here. All you have to do is, I'll foot the bill. All you have to do is rubber stamp this. You're like, for all you, like, there might be like hundreds on a particular property and the owner would never even know. So
I think they might have to be notified to file it or something. But
which also is great, receiving in the post that someone's planning this shit on your house.
We wish to change your house into a fort. The process is already underway, so you don't have to agree to it, but it'll be a real finger in our eye.
I'm sure we don't need to explain the reasons why. We all get it.
The whole town is agreed. Yeah. Yeah. So the thought then is, if the summer money isn't enough to be embarrassing to the college, and if I don't just refund everyone, then I will
abscond with the cash.
Abscond with the cash. No, I find someone to take the money and use it to apply for planning permission to have the statue removed. Because that way, you will not only have taken away the financial reason, the pretext that they're leaning on, but also the legal wranglings one, because, hey, we're taking care of it.
Yeah, and let's see what dance they try and do next to keep it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think their reasons are for wanting to keep it?
Pressure from the alumni network.
Right. Checkbooks.
Yeah. Donations. I don't know how much those figure in UK higher education as opposed to, say, the US, but I can only imagine it's pretty substantial when it comes to Oxbridge. But but more than that, just people in power, especially coming from that institution, who write to you personally and say, look, I'm not on board with this at all. You've had members of the Tory government, for instance, be quite outspoken about their opposition to removing the statue. So yeah, I think I think they're torn between two different forms of cowardice. One is cowardice of the sort that's more familiar from the PR industry, to kind of collective popular pressure, and the other one is to donors or people of influence who unpredictably have taken a different line. One of the most interesting things about starting this, though, is the emails I got as a result of starting it, because there are a couple of people who wrote somewhat predictably saying, I don't think this is a good idea.
Right.
Not just the funding, but removing the statue. Oh, Katerina's here. But what was really interesting was the number of philosophers who wrote to me who obviously didn't get that I was trolling the college, who were very upset that I was going to be giving the college money for keeping up a racist statue, like a reward.
Oh, hello. I just remembered, you've got bread.
Oh shit! Yeah, I gotta go. Hang on.
All right. Hello. Little thumbs up from Katerina there. Yeah.
It's burned. It's not so burned that you can't eat it, but it's not ideal.
With every
do
bite,
you recall?
failure.
Do you recall in our last year at Sheffield, me burning a pizza?
I'm going to need more than that.
More information. It's not a very exciting story. I just made the pizza and then totally forgot about it. And then I was sitting upstairs going, who the fuck is burning a pizza? I went downstairs and this thing was just jet
blackened disc.
Yeah.
I remember it. Yeah.
I was like, oh wait, it's me. Yeah.
I did the opposite. I don't know if you remember this. Same year, same house. I got into this routine because my insomnia was really bad for a while there. I'd stay up all night, and then with the sunrise, I would make a pizza.
All right.
But it was always like just a frozen pizza. And after a while, you start to get bored. So I started to pimp up the pizza. Just add a slice of something here or there. And as these things tend to do over time, it escalated until I was double layering. So I'd have like some vegetables or meat slices, then another layer of cheese, and then another layer of toppings. So it was sort of almost like a sandwich with the top layer is cheese. And it reached its peak or nadir, so you decide, when one morning I took it out of the oven and the middle of it just completely fell through, and I was just left with this sort of ring of crust.
Oh no.
Different problems are related.
Tesco Value Pizzas, I believe there was 69p at the time, because that was a general house tradition, wasn't it, that we'd soup up. I mean, not to that extent. We buy these god awful cheap pizzas and then just soup the hell out of them up.
Yeah. It's funny.
Good times.
What are you doing baking bread, huh? It's not the first lockdown. Sorry.
I've started making pasta as well, which is incredibly easy and delicious.
Incredibly easy?
Very easy, yeah.
I've made pasta. It takes a fucking age. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, I didn't say it wasn't time consuming, but it is easy. Right. Because the thing with it is that the margin of error for how much flour you add to the egg is enormous. So if you have quite a soft dough, or if you have a really dry, hard dough, the pasta turns out just fine. So you really can't mess it up unless you totally underflour and everything starts sticking everywhere.
Mm.
But yeah, I nailed it on the first go. It was that easy, and I am not an expert chef.
No. Are you having to make your own pasta because you live in a cultural vacuum that is Alabama? Zing! No, that's just
Yes. Yes.
How is it out there?
How is Alabama? Good.
Great response.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because the whole time we've been here, it's been under COVID.
Oh yeah.
So, but that excuse is wearing a bit thin because the Alabamians never took it that seriously, you know. I mean, they were happy to just shed some of their population, I think, and more or less go on as usual, with the exception of schools and hospitals and like who took it very seriously. So yeah, you know, what's it like? There's the town we're in is Auburn, and it's a college town, which means you have a certain, at least low-level amount of activity here, mostly catered towards students.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some cultural stuff, you know, there's an art museum that we're going to today, actually. And there's a music hall. A lot of that stuff has not been active during the pandemic. But then there's the thing that really bugs me about this place is that you're just not near anything.
Mm.
So one of the things I love about being, say, in the UK or in Germany is that you go, hey, there's this quaint little village 15 miles away. Let's go and check it out. And you can't really do that here. There's a town nearby called Opelika, which is genuinely quite nice, but that's really it.
And even that,
so if you
50, 60 miles kind of thing. It's just, yeah.
no, Opelika is quite close.
Right. But I take
so that's
everything. Yeah, that's my experience. Even of being in New York is just, things are just much further away. The next thing is, it's just always a bit longer to get to it. Yeah.
So, and you imagine that, but multiplied manyfold. Then, you know, what's like in Alabama, which is in a way a bit weird, because I think of us as being far enough east that you'd have thought by now the population density would have meant it would be different, at least different from, say, the west of the country, where there really is just enormous patches of space. But it's really not that different. There really is a lot of room here still. Which is good and bad. The natural stuff around is in parts quite exceptional. So there's a couple of waterfalls just outside the town, and there's a state park where one of the waterfalls is, and those are just glorious. And in the peak of the summer in July, when it gets really humid, you can go walk down the river. It's a bit like being in a spa, because the air is so warm outside that it's never, and the water's so warm, it's never the case that the cold of the water is biting or anything. It's just constantly really, really pleasant running water. And so that kind of stuff is great. But yeah, Alabama. And then sometimes you get out of town. So actually, when we were driving to one waterfall, which is a bit further away, we traversed a lot more of the rural areas of the state, and that was right before the election, and that was an eye-opener.
People not shy about expressing political affiliations, should we put it that way?
Yeah, and just the total one-sidedness of it was spectacular. I mean, I wasn't imagining that you would see much in the way of support for Biden, but I think there was literally one Biden sign and just hundreds of Trump signs and flag. Brave soul, no longer with us, I'm assuming. So that was really interesting.
You, of course we all know it, but then there's knowing and then there's seeing, isn't there? You've probably lived in more places than anyone I know, if I think about it.
Yeah.
Well, it is a very large number of places that you've lived. It's like,
Yeah.
think of most people's checklists. What are there, 3 or 4? I mean, if that, like,
Yeah.
what would the mean average of people be? I think it will be under 3 probably. Like,
Yeah. If we're talking globally, probably just over 1. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, you just,
Yeah.
you're born, you live, you die, you're kind of in the same spot.
Yeah.
But then you not only nationally but internationally, you've been to multiple places and called them home.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, part of that is a product of an extremely inhospitable academic job market, which means that if you want to fake it till you make it, you gotta go where the jobs are, and that's really a blessing and a curse. I do think if you were just unattached, you didn't have kids or even a partner in tow, then as sad and empty as your life might be, it would be an incredible profession to be in, because you really can just take up gigs all over the world. I mean, I just saw a job advertised in Kazakhstan, and I feel like if I was just single, had no children, I'd be like, you know what, fuck it, let's check out Kazakhstan. Yeah, and then they'd probably never come back, but you know,
let's see if the rumors are true. All that great press.
Yeah, they're true, they're all true.
And then you're going to be moving to Hamburg in 2022, is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Which will be an incredibly different experience than Alabama, and you've lived in Oklahoma, Michigan, Southampton, Sheffield, London. I mean, the list actually goes on. It's
Mexico City is the other one. Yeah.
Mexico,
Valencia.
I feel like, yeah, Valencia. I think
Yeah.
I've probably missed some places. What's your favorite? What's your no? Must be exciting to be moving to Germany though, because like is that your first or second tongue? I don't know. You're fluent is my point. So that's
I grew up bilingually. Yeah, so it's, I guess, both. It's a funny one going to Hamburg actually, Rob, because for me, I left Germany just before I turned 8, and it does feel a little bit like unfinished business in a strange way. Obviously, I've been back.
Yeah.
But there's, you know, when you meet Gibraltarians or whatever, and they're the most British people, or Falkland Islanders, and they're just way more committed to the national cause than anyone on the mainland sensibly could be.
It's something like the percentage of them who voted for Brexit is like the highest proportion.
Yeah, 101%. It's like, that's not even mathematically possible. We did it for Blighty. Yeah, you're going to be you're going to be evicted now. What? So, but I can totally relate to it, or at least relate to it in part, because there's something about having a place form an important part of your identity and being taken away from that place that is just quite formative. And I do sometimes wonder if it's, maybe trauma isn't quite the right word, but whether there is a certain kind of trauma with that process, one that I'm about to subject my children to, I should add. They'll forever be attached to Alabama.
Well, yeah, I think
they might be, yeah.
And yeah, I think they will be in a way. And I think, I don't know if trauma is the right word, but I think there's definitely something there that is, and it's, if not trauma, it's trauma adjacent. Especially, yeah, you especially have that with it's a particular challenge with kids in school as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And often you hear people talk about formative experiences and having to move young, so it's obviously a thing. So yeah, in a way, what a great opportunity to come full circle. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. Do you have a similar thing, being Jewish in a secular world? I mean, not religiously Jewish, but having to navigate or negotiate between different kinds of identity?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
there's a way in which I don't know if fortunate is the right word, but I get more of a pass because literally because I'm white passing, they call it. So
Yeah.
It's an identity that you can sometimes choose to conceal or not divulge is probably a better way of putting it.
Yeah. Like a costume.
Like a costume. But it definitely can be a difficult one to have to navigate, especially with the recent events in Israel. You know, what do they have to do with me? But except, of course, being even the most tangentially tied to it, you know, those things come directly to you, and you have to reckon with them and talk to people about them. And that's, I guess, it's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, you must have had similar stuff being German and people making, you know, Nazi comparisons and shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, mostly that's just because I'm an abhorrent racist, and then they just learn I'm German afterwards. But yeah, definitely. My favorite line when I was a kid, if we understand racism in the broad sense that includes xenophobia, of course, was a kid coming up to me going, "I hate Germans, they're racists." Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
That kid no longer with us, by the way. I have no idea what they're doing. I can't even remember who it was, if I'm honest. But I do remember that line. And even at that tender age of maybe 8 or 9, thinking, there's something incoherent about what that person just said. Yeah. It was the budding philosopher in me. Yeah, for sure. I
mean, I'm not, you know, I'm not saying they're the same experience, but I think there's different. I saw this. Okay, I saw this the other day. There's different assumptions about to finish that thought about different groups, right? So you navigate different waters. But I guess what I was saying is like we all have something. Even the people who think they don't, they do. They just obviously they just don't. They have less rocks in their stream. Let's put it that way. I saw something the other day about people being asked to estimate how many Jews there are in the world, and the guesses that people have are like 99% of them are just way above what the actual amount is, and people like theorizing about like why is that, and
can I guess? Can I guess
what the total number?
Do you know the total number?
I do, but let me get the exact. I know what it's rounded to, but you can guess.
What counts as a Jew here? Like someone. Yeah, I know. But how is it being operationalized in the questionnaire?
That's a good question, and I think probably the answer might take quite a long time, but let's hope it doesn't. Let's see. Those identifying as Jews above all else is what is the criteria.
Above all else.
Above all else. If you have to tick one box, what you are the most, they've ticked that.
That's obviously they didn't intend it that way. That's quite strong, isn't it? Like above human being, above spatiotemporally extended thing. Jew first.
So, what's your guess?
I guess worldwide.
And I've kind of pranked by saying most people overestimate. So you've got a bit of a leg up.
That was my hunch, though. So what population of Israel is about 9 million, I guess. And then you can have large parts of diaspora in the US, mostly in the Northeast, I'm guessing.
Not wrong, people.
He's not wrong. And then probably, I was going to say sporadically around the Middle East, but maybe for reasons that might be obvious, that's not actually the case. I don't know, like maybe 35 million?
You're about double. It's 14.7.
14 million. Wow.
Or 0.2% of the population. So rounded down to 0. Yeah. I mean, no, not to make it overtly political, but the Middle East, I actually learned about Jewish populations in the Middle East recently because again of the recent flare-ups in 2021 before the peace agreement that was just signed. So Jews in the Middle East. So yeah, Israel obviously is about 40% of the population. But listen to some of these stats; these are great. Egypt, 10. Jordan, 0. Saudi Arabia,
do they
0.
all,
Go on.
do they all work in the embassy? Is that wait, but now Saudi Arabia is 0. Is that because there are 0 or because no one would possibly admit?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, or both.
Or both. Lebanon, 0. Syria, 0. Iraq, 4. Iran, 8,300.
I mean, 4. That's how many people were polled. I mean, that's got to be consistent with a clerical error, right?
No.
Like,
I
that's what a Jew is. Oh no, I didn't need to tick that box.
wait.
Yeah, please no. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain amount of stubbornness if you're the remaining 4 in Iraq.
Yeah, I am. Me. Me and these other 3 guys. We live in a house share. It's pretty hostile here, so yeah. Okay, so around 17, is it right? 17 million ish.
14.7.
Total. Oh, 14. You said okay.
14.7.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love how you said rounded down 0. I just imagine Hitler's eyes opening in his grave, like, we did it.
Yes!
No, that's yeah. But no, we were rounding down.
Yeah. So not to make this like super dark, I guess we've gone there. I heard a fact that I haven't checked, so it might not be a fact, that before the final solution, Hitler's dream was that you'd keep a few Jews, but like under like horrific conditions, just to remind everyone why you got rid of the most of them, because they're so obviously abhorrent that you could look
oh my God.
and say, see, this is why we did it. And everyone would be like, yeah, I do.
Oh my God. I was going to say that can't possibly be true, but those Nazis,
they'll push you.
they'll do it. They did some, in the words of Michael Jackson, they were bad. They were bad. They were really, really bad. Yeah.
Well, let's. This is the Bliss of the Abyss, so we don't have to talk about Nazis the whole time. Just for most of it.
just most of it. Yeah, but yeah, the negotiating different identities thing is. It's always been very interesting to me, and then it's interesting when you meet other people who have a similar. They've experienced a similar phenomenon because of their own backgrounds, and then chatting to them and seeing how it is for them. But yeah, but I'm really keen for reasons related to all that to get my kids to learn German, and the only way that's really going to happen is if we go there, because I speak German to them and they understand it, but
I've heard them
they don't
as well,
produce it.
They don't produce it organically. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, very occasionally. Or they'll pepper in some words, or they'll parrot a phrase back that I've just used in German because they can't be asked to work out what it'd be in English or whatever. Yeah,
but immersion is key. How much has phone picked up? Has she got any?
For all the shouting? A lot, yeah. Her angry German is very, she's proficient at this point. She's actually teaching at the local university now. Angry German 101, which turns out is mostly overlaps with German 101.
102, 102.
Yeah, her German's, her comprehension, I think, is pretty good. Because so one of the difficulties I have going now into an academic context in Hamburg is that if we want to talk about the washing or what someone wants for breakfast, then I'm world champion at that. But
Right.
if we want to talk about transcendental arguments in Kant, I just don't have the vocab, you know.
That's going to be tough.
But a corollary of that is that for those kinds of more prosaic, humdrum ways of talking, I think Phone's comprehension must be pretty good by now, and even probably the grasp of some of the elementary grammar, because she does hear me speak it all the time.
Mm.
And I don't know if you know this about Phone, but she studied Spanish literature as well. So,
Nice.
her theoretical grasp of how the language works, and she taught English. So yeah, her theoretical grasp is pretty good. So that's to say, her mind's already keyed in to where the stuff has to slot in, you know.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've got a TEFL, right? And I've taught
Right.
language and stuff. So I know the way that language is structured. It might not seem that way. I'm shit at learning foreign languages. I don't know what it is. Like I have those things that you just said about Phone. I was teaching someone about the fucking subjunctive mood the other day. Like it's like I get it, but then when it's transferred into my brain just doesn't retain the grammatical structure. I can learn vocabulary and then I sort of spit words at you that has like it sounds the way like Russians speak English, right? Because in Russian they don't have
all
those,
Russians,
like,
all Russians.
but they don't have. I don't believe they have prepositions or articles. So it's like
I don't know.
I visit doctor is like grammatically that's correct in Russian, and like I'm sympathetic with that because that's you've got the information across. That's
all the lexical words are there.
Yeah, we don't need these flowery other bits. But that's what happens with me whenever I try and learn a foreign language.
Well, yeah, I guess it comes harder to some people. I bet you just haven't really tried, Rob. I bet if you really sat down and
not only am I
did it,
but I'm also lazy.
Lazy. Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
That's I think the podcast can end now. I think that's the conclusion that it was all building up to, really. So anyway, what have you been up to? Enough about me.
No, this is all about you. I do have an interesting thing about you that I want to talk about. What have I been up to? I've built this thing, haven't I?
Yeah, very nice.
Booth. Trying to get more voice work.
Is there a booth behind the booth? Is it like nested booths, or is that just a curtain?
No, there's a it's a vocal sheet.
Oh, right, you're not in the booth.
Now I'm in the booth.
Now you're in the booth. I thought you were already in the booth. Wait, is it 2 booths? I'm so confused. So what are you sitting in right now?
A chair.
Also known as a booth.
No, this is a room like you find in many houses, and I have built the booth.
I am learning a lot.
PVC pipe, you see.
Yeah.
So it's
but you're not you're sitting outside the booth right now.
I'm sitting outside the booth. The booth is is hot and only designed for specific purposes.
I see.
Chatting to you.
You know,
was not.
Voice acting pros, we know this.
We know this.
These amateur philosopher types who come along, they possibly know. Yeah, it's cool. How long does it take you to build that?
Longer than it should, because I got it wrong first. And then
everything was on the floor. This can't be right.
Like any endeavor, as soon as I begin it, I do want to end it immediately. So
like language learning.
Like language learning. So I'm storing this PVC pipe, and immediately I think, fuck everything. I'll just lie on a heap, put the blanket on top of me, and that's fine. I'm done. I suppose it's just like ennui. So in answer to your question, I'm doing terribly. Maybe the COVID's hitting. Feel a bit weird.
Yeah. Oh God.
I'm all right. Have you ever done an image search of your name?
Yeah, for sure.
Can you explain some of these results to me?
Okay. It's all fallacies.
So here we go. We start off with a few sort of, here I am, this is my face.
Yeah.
Here's me at work. Here's some of the work I've done, sort of thing. That's what you might expect.
Yeah.
Quite quickly devolves into some very strange directions. For
Does it?
example, well, this man lying in Tiananmen Square.
It's not Tiananmen Square.
Did not. Oh no, the Khufu School of Shaolin Kung Fu, I suppose it is.
Yeah, I
sunglasses.
killed him with a very powerful blow to the solar plexus, and I just wanted to celebrate it. So that photo is part of a series that was made by a photographer that I reviewed a few years ago for the British Journal of Photography. I'm struggling to remember her name now. It's like Amina. I just click the link, you'll see it. It's like Amina Rocha or something like that. I can't remember.
Oh, and you were part of the. This might just show me the picture. Your. How was it? Amina Roji, perhaps, or
Roji? Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool photos.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. So she travelled to China and took photos, evidently. And yeah, they asked me to write a review.
To give a hot take.
I didn't have. I'm not sure there's any hot takes in there, but it was a very positive review.
Good.
Okay.
What about this
All right.
stand-up comedian?
I have no idea why. My guess would be there was a conference a few years ago about philosophy and stand-up comedy that I had nothing to do with, but I just want it on the record. I had nothing to do with that.
That train wreck does not have my name.
I mean, I'm bad. I'm really, really bad, but not that bad. And I suspect that some of the people who organized it are like 2 Kevin Bacon steps removed from me or something, or maybe just one. But that's only a guess.
That makes sense.
Okay. What else is weird?
Well, there's Ludo, but I know the connection there. We all
know that
connection.
King Ludo.
It gets weirder the further you go along, as you can imagine.
So Dungeons and Dragons, fiery dragon face there.
Yeah. Then just other men who just quite clearly.
Yeah.
Them.
It's the algorithm's just gone. Nils-Hennes Stear sounds scando. Pasty white man. And some of these are former colleagues.
Yeah, so some must be like former students, former colleagues, something like that, right? There's a few, and then where's my favorite? That one's pretty good.
Who are these people?
I like this guy because he looks very uncomfortable.
Click on it. I think that's Jason Leddington.
I'm sure he's a lovely man. Oh no, he looks less uncomfortable when you have it there. Here he looks very uncomfortable. When it gets bigger, it looks and then
he's like that in real life, you know, when he's in the distance, he just looks very uncomfortable. As you approach him, he he really eases into himself.
This was my favorite, but I think now I understand the context of it.
Yeah, it's the same photographer. Yeah. And the best picture, I think.
It's a remarkable photo. Yeah.
Your listeners will really appreciate this part where we're talking about this wonderful picture. I mean, just the angles, the triangular forms. It's just compositionally very nice, you know.
The discipline.
And the way the blue of the uniforms pops against the light red soil.
But if I'm reading your subtext clearly, it sounds like you probably have to go soonish. Let's finish on something better than describing a photo or failing to. purposely not describing a photo.
Okay.
What should we do?
Oh, I'm writing a song for my brother's 40th birthday.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, great.
It's
how far have you got?
pretty far, but it's still, it's drafts, bits and pieces. So, as you know, Rob, you very kindly gave me Cubase, and I thought, I ain't got time for this. I'm a busy man. But it turns out I was drawn back into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't know what to get my brother for his 40th. So I thought, I'm going to make him a piece of music. And so it's like a banging 160 BPM 80s revivalist pop smash hit. That's
what, AKA sort of 99 Red Balloons type thing. Is that what territory?
Yeah. But more, a bit more digital than that. Because if you recall, 99 Red Balloons, it's got heavy synths, but it's still the band
right
on their old school instruments. Yeah. But exactly, that's you've got it.
That sounds cool. No previews, obviously, I can imagine. What's it called?
I think it's just going to be called For Rene on his 40th birthday, or For Rene on the occasion of his 40th birthday.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Got a classic feel to it.
My brother's name is Rene, by the way. I mean, that would be weird if his name was like Harold. Here you go, Rene. I'm Harold, whatever. I wrote this for someone else, but happy birthday.
Happy birthday anyway, mate. Here you go. Are you gonna
I don't know what you're singing about.
Are you going to give it to him in the form of a non-fungible token?
Yeah, that seems like a faff, doesn't it? That seems like a faff. So the answer to that is no. These are fascinating, though, right? This seems like the kind of thing that you would have spent a whole evening reading about, Rob. So tell me about NFTs.
They're environmentally quite damaging, which is an annoying thing to start off with.
Does it require a lot of server space, or?
Yeah, because it's all blockchain, and anything using blockchain requires an incredible amount of computational space, and so generates a lot of CO2.
Just because of how it's encrypted and decrypted, or what's the?
Yeah, so you mine for bitcoins, right? Which is an increasingly hard thing to do. So the fewer bitcoins there are, the longer it takes. So the more processing power is needed. It's a similar thing with any crypto. Different parameters for different cryptos, but yeah, NFTs suffer from the same thing. Well, the most heartwarming thing I've learned about them is you remember Charlie Bit My Finger?
Yes. That
just sold for the video, the YouTube sensation from however many years ago. It's just sold for like £750,000. That family just get 750 grand for nothing for a video that was already just out there and viral and everyone already knew.
They know the deal is you get 200 quid, you send it into Matthew, whatever his name was. That's it. $750,000.
For what was that show? Like
you've been framed.
You've been framed. Yeah, I think it's You've Been Framed, or it's camera in the States. Yeah, bloopers.
It'd be amazing if this story took a twist. It's like no, the $750,000 was from You've Been Framed. The rates have gone up enormously. It's real cash to be made.
Very competitive market out there.
Yeah. TikTok really sent them for a spin, and okay, that's weird, isn't it? Although I think it raises interesting questions about the fetish attitude that we have towards original products of more conventional, traditional forms of art.
Yeah, you know what? This is brilliant. We're bringing it full circle, really, to where we started, aren't we? Like how immoral are NFTs if they are literally damaging the planet in a much I mean, paint isn't great for the environment, but you know, it's hardly like pumping CO2. So Jackson Pollock gets off lightly, I reckon, compared to Gucci selling virtual sneakers for $19,000.
Right.
Similar such things. I think it's something you might
There's
have to consider in your book. Ooh.
Oh, there's an ancient Chinese philosopher, I think, was it Mozi maybe, who he was really worried about the music that they'd put on, because apparently the music in the place he was living, I don't know precisely where it was, but the rulers of this place would put on these really lavish concerts. And so he spends a lot of time just griping about, in a rather cynical way, but maybe at the time quite appropriately, about the number of resources that go into constructing these enormous bells and producing the music and all the people involved. And maybe there's a similar kind of criticism to be made about NFTs. Resource intensive. Anyway, on that note.
Yeah, interesting. Well, dude, it's been really nice to catch up as ever. Thanks for coming back on the show. I look forward to reading some of that research. It sounds really interesting. Send it my way when you got a piece. And love to the family. Bubble.
Likewise.
All of
How is Caitlin doing, by the way, before we go?
She's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally still alive.
That's what the booth's for, really, isn't it? What have you done? He's bad.
Yeah.
He's bad. He's
you know
really, really bad.
I'm really, really bad. And I'm going to come and visit you in Hamburg, I think, because I've never been. I've always wanted to go.
Do it. I mean, you can't stay with us, obviously, because we don't like you very much, but you could try.
Yeah. You could still come to the city. On second thought.
I'm not sure we can prevent you from doing that, but just don't expect any company. Okay?
Love you.
Love you. All right, mate.
All right,
nice
dude.
chatting to you.
I'll
catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.